welcome to another new episode of the Rebel Radio podcast. And it is Friday night. And coming off the last week's fun episode as we talked Deadpool and Wolverine. And thank you for anyone who's listened to that so far. You can find all our episodes at the rebelradiopodcast.com and then all the apps where you can get your podcasts that you like to listen to, including iTunes, Amazon Music, and all that good stuff. The movie made a lot of money, $205 million, biggest opening for a rated R film of all time, and it's doing well, to say the least.
It's a little over 400 million now, huh? Or almost 500 mil?
Worldwide. 500 mil globally. Yeah. Globally. And, since we saw it, we came off the hype of it and the freshness.
Yeah.
And I still enjoy it. But I've read some stuff that does make me kind of realize it is, it's fun and it's exciting, but it is kind of covered up by the fun and the excitement of it. I mean, if you really start breaking down the basic plot threads of it and stuff, you're like, man, they kind of got a good point. This movie really doesn't do anything other than make the Fox universe part of the MCU. It really is just kind of it's really 2 hours of just kind of jokes and pointlessness at the end of it. I'm like, damn it, why do I have to read this? Because they make a good point.
And getting Deadpool and Wolverine on the same screen and having funny interactions between both of them. So it's purely like fan service, really. You know, to just like, all right, you're a fan of Deadpool, you're a fan of Wolverine. Well, guess what? It's like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. We just smacked them together, baby. And played some Madonna music. It's definitely enjoyable. But if you're talking about impact on the MCU, does it have a big impact? Now, I think Kevin Feige? I think Kevin Feige, they asked him what kind of significance it has on the MCU. And he said before the movie aired, he said if Avengers Endgame is a 10 and I forget the second example, but I think he said No Way Home is a 9, then this would be an 8.
So,
I was like, that's fair.
I'm sure. Yeah. But definitely a fun ride. I mean, it's always, Wolverine's my favorite Marvel character, my second favorite superhero behind Batman. So I'm always cool to see him on screen and, just to see the yellow costume and the mask and all that was worth it. The long 20-year wait to see that costume on screen and see some cool moments and just to see Hugh Jackman back in the role. So that was worth it for me, just those moments. I enjoyed it and it was a lot of fun to watch. And, if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out and then come back and listen to our episode last week in which we spoil the shit out and discuss it on the show. But it's a fun one. Definitely worth watching. Man. Other than that, how's your week been? Pretty good. Kind of we recorded Sunday morning, so it's kind of a short week. We're recording again pretty quick.
Yeah, I went to Galveston. We did our yearly beach trip, got a little burnt. And checked out a new movie, new-ish movie. I went ahead and just rented it, and caught up on some anime. And that is The Bike Riders.
Yes, I saw you rented that, and it comes on Peacock next week.
No, really?
This happens to you, Matt.
Always.
I actually, when they say LOL, I literally laughed. I'm like, Matt, he rented this. It's going to be on Peacock next week. Oh,
man. I was wondering if a place was going to take it or not. But yeah, I probably could have waited. The trailer had me hyped. I thought it was going to be like Ford v Ferrari meets a Bronx Tale, is what it kind of looked like. I was going to hear some engine roaring, some racing, but some drama, some mafia stuff or mob stuff. And it's very much a slow burn drama with a couple actions a couple action in there. It's just Tom Hardy is good. Austin Butler's good. It's okay. I will say it's okay. I'll give it a C+. It looks good. It's shot good. But it's just real slow for me.
Well, that's kind of vibe I got from the trailer. I was like, okay, this is one of those movies where I guarantee the trailer is hyping this way up better than it probably is.
Yeah.
It's based off of it felt like a trailer in which Tom Hardy and Austin Butler owed the studio a movie on their contracts, and we're like, okay, we're going to put you on this movie.
That's probably
like from the trailer.
Yeah, they. I thought it was going to be a movie that was based off of the Hells Angels because it said based on true events, and that's like the only biking group I know of. But it was actually based off the Chicago Outlaws. But yeah, it's very slow. It picks up at the end a little bit, and that's it. And it's told by the perspective of the lady, Austin Butler's love interest that gets involved with the group. But yeah, nah, I definitely waited. Would like to have that $20 back. But I guess that's what I would have spent. I was going to take my dad because, my dad raced motorcycles.
Right.
And my grandpa built them from he would just find a motorcycle and another motorcycle and combine them. And that's what they make a reference to doing that in this movie. And I thought it would be fun for me to take him to watch, but they went to the beach instead that weekend. And I'm glad I did not have to sit through this next to my dad being like, oh, sorry, man. It's not as good as I thought it was going to be.
It was kind of a dud.
Yeah. So definitely catch it on Peacock if you've got some time to burn. But I know Kingdom Planet of the Apes got launched onto Hulu, and that's much more interesting to watch. So definitely see that first if you haven't. And then my son was interested in Jujutsu Kaisen, just binge watched everything, and I'm trying to catch up.
Which son? Jake?
Jake.
Jake. Yeah, that's pretty adult, some of that. I mean, it's not nudity, but it's pretty violent.
Yeah, it's pretty violent. They show some blood in there. But it's entertaining. I like it. It's definitely one of my one of the newer animes that I like.
Michael wanted me to watch the movie with him. And I said, all right, watch it with you. It's not my cup of tea. I told Michael, it's not that I don't appreciate the anime. I'm just not real into demons and curses and stuff. That's more like where it turns me off. I'm just like, I couldn't get into Demon Slayer for the same reason. I like more sci-fi and more, action adventure. Demons and curses, it's just kind of, just not my thing,
Yeah.
But he's watched it all and he likes it. And it just, for me, it was like, oh, it's all right.
But yeah, of course it's not, I felt like it reminded me a little bit of Yu Yu Hakusho, that there's a, instead of, there's demons, and there are people that vanquish them, a secret society of ones that vanquish them. So it kind of reminded me of Yu Yu Hakusho, but I like Yu Yu Hakusho way more.
Well, I think Yu Yu Hakusho plays up on the science fiction more.
Yeah.
Where Jujutsu Kaisen to me was darker and more grounded, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Even though it's got demons in it, which is hard to explain unless you've seen the show. It's like, it's definitely, it's all science fiction, so not real, but Jujutsu just has a more of a grounded reality where Yu Yu Hakusho definitely feels more science fiction.
Yeah. But and speaking about that, Justin Cook, who voices Yu Yu Hakusho, is going to be at the Pasadena Convention Center at the end of September. Debating if I'll take Jake to go see him, but I didn't realize they have an anime.
If you want to drive to Stinky Town, you go ahead. Yes, people. Pasadena, Stinky Town in Houston.
Oh yeah, because all those damn plants over there.
I mean, when you can literally drive the freeway and see where the smog starts as you enter that town. That's how bad it is. on a clear day.
On a clear day, yeah. But yeah, that's what I've checked out. I did watch Terminator 2 on Arnold's birthday. Happy birthday, Arnold. It's the 31st, I think. Yeah. July 31st. 31. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say he's only 31.
No, 77. He is 77.
That's funny you said that because I too watched an Arnold movie.
Oh,
I know I can see your face. You're like, holy shit, really? I watched Conan the Destroyer.
Oh, the Destroyer? The second one?
It's funny because, I kind of enjoy it. I know it's dumbed down, but the studio came in after Conan the Barbarian was fairly successful for a film, especially overseas. So they wanted the second film to be more for other audiences, and so they make it a little more silly, give him a sidekick who's kind of corny and just says stuff that doesn't do anything to drive the plot. There's no blood in it. It's all like the kind of play where Conan hits a guy with a sword and the guy just falls over, But it's cheesy fun, it has the cool fight with the mirror guy and the demon wizard and all that. I mean, there's some fun stuff in it. It feels like there might have, from the cuts I see in the film, I wonder if that movie, I didn't research or anything, I just watched it, but I wonder if there was a rated R cut of that film at one time. And then they came in and said, no, we need to sell this, because there's moments where the girls are scantily clad and then the camera will cut real quick, like it's edited. So I wonder maybe if at one point if they said, nah, we need to cut some of this. And and I don't know, I was just scrolling through Netflix and I'm like, I haven't watched this in years. And it brought back some memories of watching it and just enjoying it for what it was as a kid, that kind of childhood wonder of the silly sword and sorcerer movie. And it's kind of fun. It's not great, but it's not terrible either. You can tell that Arnold's invested. He has fun with it. I still like the end where they show King Conan, and it still makes you wish we could get a King Conan movie. I think that'd be fucking awesome. But I think at 77 years old, we're probably not going to get it from Arnold.
Probably not.
I think 10 years ago when he first, 10, 15 years ago when he first got out of being governor, I think it was possible then. But now I think it's probably not going to happen. I kind of dig Conan the Destroyer. It's better paced. Conan the Barbarian's very slow the first hour. It's basically him traveling. He travels. He sleeps with some girls. He travels more. He sleeps with another girl. Then you finally get to the snake action and James Earl Jones and all that. But like the first hour of that movie is like nothing really happens. So at least Conan the Destroyer is a little more quicker paced, because it only runs an hour and 35 minutes or so.
Yeah, Conan the Barbarian. I think it's funny, the exposition that's being narrated whenever he's killing people. And then they're like, they gave him women. And he's like in a cage. And it's like kind of like a tiger. Instead of throwing him a steak, they threw him like pieces of ass,
Yeah.
And then he sleeps with that weird sorceress. And she like starts flipping out, like turning into Dana from Ghostbusters, all like demonic and shit.
Man, we need to cover that movie, man. I don't want to. I don't know what your birthday pick is yet, but past next week I have not picked our August and September films yet. So maybe I'll have to throw a Conan movie on there. Because they're kind of enjoyable films for what they are. But yeah, so I sat down and just watched Conan the Destroyer just for the heck of it. And other than that, I started watching Batman the Cape Crusader, the new Batman animated series. It's on Amazon Prime. A spiritual successor to Batman the animated series, the greatest cartoon ever made. It's from Bruce Timm, and it's similar in tone and style, but also different. Don't pay attention to the internet. It's called the woke Batman. I mean, it's like, come on. And not just because things are different doesn't have to be woke. I am a little like the Penguin's a woman. I do think that's a bit strange because there's already a lot of strong female characters in Batman. I don't understand why that needed to be changed. But surprisingly, the first episode that has the woman penguin in, it's actually very good. It's a really well written episode. So, and I guess that's where you see this. You're like, why is penguin a woman? But then if the show tells good stories, okay, it worked. It's done in a very deco noir style, just like Batman the Animated Series was. It's definitely a little edgier, and there's like dams and craps and like a little bit of language. Not there's no, you're not going to see any real cuss words, but it's more like TV-14. There's some blood in it, and there's some pretty heavy stuff. So far through 2 episodes, I'm kind of digging it as a Batman fan. It's kind of cool. And all 11 episodes are already Amazon Prime. They're already working on season 2, even though it hasn't officially been picked up yet. They're in the writer's room, so I have a feeling that it'll get done. But I think that if you enjoyed Batman the Animated Series or just enjoy Batman in general, I think it's worth the watch for sure.
Yeah.
It's fun so far, man. I think it's just cool to have Batman back on TV on a series.
I almost picked it back up, or picked up the first episode and watched it. But I got sidetracked. I ended up playing Star Wars Battlefront instead. So, but I'll have to watch it this coming week.
I mean, they're only 25-minute episodes, so they're cool, man. It's pretty neat so far, and it definitely feels like a spiritual successor of Batman the Animated Series, but also it's very different. It's its own thing. Don't feel like you'd have to watch Batman the Animated Series to watch this. Absolutely not. It's definitely its own thing. I think it's just because it's Bruce Timm and because it's a similar style, that's where it kind of stops. And the actor, who I can't think of his name, is voicing Batman. It's doing a good job. I mean, obviously nothing can replace Kevin Conroy, but so far so good with him. I'm digging his take on Batman and Bruce Wayne. So I think he's doing good so far. And I like the suit. It's kind of the old school, original black and white, black and gray Batman suit. I mean, and I kind of like that from when he first became Batman. Alfred is not super skinny Alfred. It takes more. He's more a little bit heavier Alfred, but I kind of like that take on him. He's still Alfred. Once you hear the guy talk and you hear how he acts with Bruce, like he tells Bruce, hey, I know you don't want to sleep, but you're going to eat, damn it. So, still got that Alfred spirit. And I think that's what matters about Alfred. I think Alfred is one of those great characters that we can, there's always different interpretations of Alfred over the years. People weren't sure about Andy Serkis as Alfred, but then he did a good job in the Batman. So, I think it's okay to have different versions. But Batman the Caped Crusader is on Amazon Prime right now, and worth the watch so far. I'm really digging it. I'm trying to think, did I watch anything else in the past week? Let me think about this for one moment.
And, it looks like the voice actor for Batman, his name's Hamish Linklater.
No, okay.
And,
I mean, he's good so far. I mean, he's fine.
Yeah. Looks like he was in Fantastic Four as like an extra kind of character. And his most notable film was a guy from the movie The Big Short. And then he was in Battleship.
Oh, okay. So, and then just for shits and grins and out of pure boredom, I rewatched the pilot episode of the TV show Lost, which was, I was a Lost guy back in the day, was on. That was not missed. People, the younger generation is listening, forgets that there was a time you had to wait for your new episode of your TV show to come out every week. And Sunday nights, Lost on ABC was must-watch TV. I mean, this Lost was one of the first shows to me that I remember being a huge internet sensation, a huge must-see TV. Monday you went to work, hey, did you watch Lost? People were talking about it. And I don't know if you ever got into Lost, Matt, but Lost was my thing. It was a big show. I just felt like rewatching the pilot. And I tell you, it is still one of the best pilot episodes of TV you'll ever watch. I mean, it catches you hook, line, and sinker. You're ready to go. Okay, what's going to happen next? And rewatching the pilot now years later the other day, it's still so good, that pilot episode. Like, wow, this is just so well done.
I was watching it with Jackie for a while, but I got I fell off.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was going through Netflix and I saw, I'm like, let me give this a watch. And I'm probably not going to sit and watch all 6 seasons again. I just watched pilot episode and man, it's still great, really digging.
I left off where it got started getting weird. I guess they drowned one of the guys and then they bring him back up, and then even though he's drowned, he randomly like comes back to life. Like he never died.
Yeah, I
So
don't
I guess,
remember it all, but yeah.
yeah.
So before we get into the feature film today, so this rumored remake of John Woo's The Killer, which I thought was long dead, it's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's coming to Peacock on August 23rd, and it's directed by John Woo. And the trailer just came out, I guess today, because yesterday when I looked, this trailer wasn't there. I'm gonna have to watch the trailer. It's kind of playing in the background on the IMDb page, and I was like, wow, this actually happened. John Woo remade his own film, and it's straight to streaming. I'm not sure how I feel about this. I guess I'm gonna watch it just because it's fucking Woo, man. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, man, The Killer's so good. It's like, why it didn't need to be remade? Why not just remaster the original, print in 4K and give it a 4K release for people? I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's not my favorite John Woo film. I think that's always going to be Hardboiled, but there's still a special place for The Killer. And it's just, I'm curious how this is going to turn out. It's a Peacock original. We'll see. I mean, Sam Worthington's in it.
I saw that.
A bunch of actors I haven't heard of. So we'll see. I mean, Sam Worthington's the biggest name. I mean, I'll give it a watch and see when it comes out. To watch this trailer later and see what it's all about. But man, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I feel about this like the same way I feel about this Crow remake that's coming out. Just like the classics I grew up with. I mean, I just hold a special place in my heart, and I don't want to remake them. I'm sure you feel a lot like that about Terminator, but yet I feel a little different with Terminator because I don't feel it needs to be remade, but I feel the concept of Terminator can be done in a modern way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think if you're going to do the Terminator, you do it, but you don't remake Arnold's film or James Cameron's film.
Exactly.
You do a new telling of the Terminator, kind of like you did with the Planet of the Apes. You do a new telling of the Planet of the Apes. But movies like The Crow and The Killer that were so good as they were, I don't feel they need to be remade. And this one, I feel because Woo is involved with it. Okay, if there was anyone else involved with this and John Woo was involved in it, I completely disown it. I'd be like, no, fuck that shit.
Yeah.
But see, The Crow, James O'Barr's not even involved with it anymore. It's why I have, Brandon Lee died. I want nothing to do with the new one. I'm not saying I won't watch the new one out of curiosity one day when it hits a streaming service, but I'm certainly not going to the theater to see Bill Skarsgård's film. That's just not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how this Killer remake comes out. Like I said, call me curious. And then last bit of news. Funny that last week we talked a little Star Wars before we got into Deadpool, Wolverine, and we were wondering where the Skeleton Crew is. Well, December 3rd, it's coming. Trailers expected in the next few weeks, possibly at D23. Starring Jude Law, and this is going to be the Star Wars show for kids. And they released some images. And Jude Law mentioned that it feels like an Amblin Entertainment 1980 style Star Wars show. And, I kind of like that idea. I think that could be kind of cool, because ultimately Star Wars is about adventure and it was designed for children. And, with Jude Law involved with it and I don't know, man, maybe I have hope for this. I'm pretty optimistic about it.
Yeah. No, I think it looks intriguing from the still shots that I saw. So hopefully we get a trailer and we can confirm, some of the things we've heard and seen. But I'm ready for it. I'm ready for something to get the taste out of my mouth.
Did you read anything about the timeline of Skeleton Crew, like when it takes place? I wonder.
Did not. Yeah,
because the looks of that speeder, it looked like a swoop. So I'm wondering if this is during maybe the classic era. Maybe we'll see. Because it looked like a classic swoop. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Because there's one thing we talked about. We get a lot of prequel stuff, and we've had the sequels, and we've had the Mandalorian and Ahsoka and all that. But there's room to do some stuff during the Skywalker era, and then we haven't done yet. Why can't we have a show that takes place while the Civil War is going on, but yet there's an adventure going on over here? And maybe Princess Leia is a voice of the people, and she's a legend. And maybe we can have an adventure that takes place during that timeline. And I kind of sometimes wish Disney would touch that era. That's why I've always wanted bounty hunter show that takes place during the original trilogy. I mean, how fucking cool would that be? Or smuggler show or something like that. Let's do some stuff that's not prequel and sequel. Maybe let's mix things in a little bit. So I'm excited to see the first trailer for the Skeleton Crew and see what it's all about when it comes out.
Yeah,
and like you said, get that taste of the Acolyte out a little bit.
Yeah,
And, like I said last week, really cool fucking looking action figures, but the show's just not that good. Because I legit saw the action figure of what's the Asian Jedi's name? Soul. It's a cool figure. If I saw it on the shelf, I might pick that up. It's a pretty badass looking Star Wars figure, but the show is just no. All right. So anyway, we are going to continue today with our summer of blockbuster films as we are getting into August and summer is slowly winding down, but we're not done yet. As we are going to discuss, we are going to completely skip a movie in which robots have balls, and that was Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, because that movie it basically cashed in on the success of the first one with a ridiculous plot that dragged on too long, almost 3 hours. That movie just went on. I'm a Transformers fan, and I was I remember seeing Revenge of the Fallen going, is this movie ever going to end? It just goes on and on and on. Then you get to the pyramids at the end, and the movie keeps going on and on and on. It was just a long, kind of not that great Transformers movie.
Not even Megan Fox's ass could save that movie.
No. And then so we get to the third one, which is Dark of the Moon. Transformers: Dark of the Moon. That's what we're going to talk about today. Now, this movie is also, it's not great, but it's tighter. So it works better.
It does things right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Using real events.
Yeah. Yes. And the story of the robots themselves is really well done. The humans, as usual, are just sort of there. There's absolutely no reason in this movie for Shia LaBeouf to be even in the film. He's basically thrown into this because apparently he saved the world a couple of times. So let's put him in the movie because he's super popular at the time. He was before he went crazy, and he was respectfully, he didn't really go crazy. He just had, some things going on in his life. And, and so they had to bring him back in a role, and they brought in another cute blonde since Megan Fox wasn't interested coming back.
Yeah, and Rosie Huntington, who was in Mad Max Fury Road.
She's done only about 4 films. She hasn't done a whole lot. So that's the biggest problem with Transformers: Dark of the Moon is a human story. But essentially, in this story, the government's pretty Matt, you summarize it. I watched it when we recorded Monday, and I watched it Sunday night. I'm trying to remember exactly.
Yeah, so the government and Autobots are running tasks together, and they are a joint task force. A new director takes over. Shia LaBeouf, he's trying to get a job, and his girlfriend,
which again is all pointless to the plot.
Yeah, or McSteamy. I forget what the woman calls it, McDreamy or McStevie.
I don't know. I never watched that shit.
But yeah, the actor is Patrick Dempsey. Yeah. So apparently he was paying for everything. He's trying to get a job, so he can be a big man, buy his woman some stuff, I guess. But he is thrown into the Transformers conflict because looks like the Decepticons are still at it, trying to do some things. They've infiltrated corporate America, working on aerospace in an aerospace company. Somehow Patrick Dempsey is involved because he is on a committee, and basically they have Sentinel Prime found by the Autobots as part of their plan, and Sentinel Prime wants to bring use Unicron to bring Cybertron to the US to the USA, to the world, and bring their world back
into the atmosphere.
Yeah, and that's essentially the plot, and there's Autobots basically have to stop them by pretending they get blown up, but then they don't, and they come back, and everyone's fighting their mentor basically, which is kind of cool. of course, the Autobots win, but Sam is, comes and joins the resistance. He even points a gun at Patrick Dempsey because he's like, "You fuckwad, where's my woman?" He's got to save her from his charming good looks and fast cars.
And then, like, the ridiculous part is, like, Sam, Megan Fox, as pretty as she is, was like, you could believe that she's pretty, but okay, she'd fall for the nerdy guy. Sure. But there's no fucking way in hell that this Rosie Huntington chick, who I don't even know her name in the movie, would fall for Sam. It's like, it's so stupid.
Yeah, like the way they make them meet. Yeah.
Yeah, she's leagues ahead of you, dude. It's like,
when I rewatched this movie, I didn't realize they showed the origins on how they met. I guess it's whenever he gets the medal from Obama, and then he's like, "Yeah, I got this medal," and then she's just like, "Oh wow," and then they just hit it off, I guess. But yeah, stupid. you don't get it. But it's part of the formula. It's Michael Bay's Autobots formula, and they call it the 3B formula, and it's bots, boobs, and boom. That's it.
Yeah,
that's what's in the salad, baby.
But there's this movie does, the plot is ridiculous as it is, does a lot of cool shit right. First off, Leonard Nimoy voicing Sentinel Prime, which is fucking, brilliant.
Awesome. Yeah.
He voiced Galvatron in the animated film, and now he comes back and voices Sentinel Prime for this. There's certain elements of the story. John Turturro's fantastic in it again. I mean, that guy, dude, how I watched Turturro on screen, and I sometimes wonder how this guy, I mean, not that he's not successful, but an even better career. He can do comedy. He can do serious. He is such a good fucking actor, man.
Yeah.
And when the original Transformers, his character kind of threw me off. Like, man, is he supposed to be silly? He's supposed to be just dumb? But as you watch him throughout the Transformers, you kind of appreciate what Turturro's doing with the character.
Yeah.
But especially by this one, you're like, okay, I get it. You start to kind of appreciate what he's doing with his character, and how good he is. And the part where the Autobots seemingly get destroyed actually works pretty well. I bought into it when I saw this film. I remember originally, I was like, wow, did they just kill the Autobots? I was like, no fucking way, something's going to happen. And sure enough, something's going to happen. But at that moment in the film, that's a pretty emotional moment, when Bumblebee's telling Sam bye and everything, you're like, holy shit, man. So the movie does that. And I think that the plot, as ridiculous is very simplified in this movie, and I think that's why it works better than Revenge of the Fallen did, which was all over the place. This has some great robot action in it, in which Michael Bay he pulls the camera back some. The worst part about the first two is the cameras are so close, sometimes it's very hard to tell what's going on. And this one, I think the action shot better. You can tell what's going on better. Some really good fights in this. The final battle between Optimus and Megatron is freaking badass. Where Optimus is like, I've had enough, fuck you, and he just shoots him. He's like, you're done. It's like, holy shit, Optimus is just like kicking ass. Some really great set design in this film. One thing Michael Bay does well, whether you love or hate his films, is, man, he knows how to make it look like a fucking movie. I mean, his sets are huge, they're explosive. He can shoot a film. His cinematographers, whoever he uses, are great. His movies do look really good. He's just a little guilty of sometimes not pulling back the camera some, so he can tell what's going on in his action sequences. But this is, out of his Transformers films, I think this one is a little easier to follow what robots fight and who. I also like the fact, I can't remember if they did in Revenge of the Fallen, but they add a little more colors to the robots in this one. There's not so much silver and gray. So other than Optimus, you can kind of tell a little bit better who's who, which is a trend they continued after this. Like in Bumblebee, all the robots had different colors. You can, even in the Age of Extinction, you can start telling, like, you may not know their name, but at least you can identify that's a different robot than the other one. And that's one thing they did in this, So there's some of the highlights of the film. The robot action, the freeway chase is freaking great, where they're going. That's really... and Michael Bay's always been able to shoot an action sequence. I mean, that's one thing he's very good at. Like you said, robots, babes, and booms, and he can do that. I mean, there's in the very first Transformers movie, there's a very ridiculous slow motion scene where the robot's flying over this really pretty chick, and there's no reason for that girl to be there, but she's there.
Exactly.
And that's just how Michael Bay is going to do it. What do you think some of the good moments of this and some of the not so good?
I like that they incorporated the moon landing and made it,
and they actually the real Buzz Aldrin actually appeared in the film. Yeah.
And he's like, fellow space traveler, and Optimus tells him the pleasure's all mine. And
he did it for his grandchildren. His grandchildren told him to do it because at first he was like, I don't know if I want to do that. It seems silly. And his grandkids were like, Granddad, go be in a Transformers movie. So I was like,
okay. Man, that's there's so many movies where we see that happening. Like Skeletor. Forget the actor who played Skeletor. I think Frank his kids wanted him. Yeah. And the guy who played Bison in Street Fighter, his kids wanted. Yeah. So yeah, that happens a lot.
That's why Anthony Hopkins was in Thor. His grandchildren. Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. Well, that's why we landed Anthony Hopkins in Thor. Man. Yeah. But yeah, whenever you add, big, real-time events and you incorporate, your sci-fi into it, I think you have a more interested audience when you do that. And, it's cool that they did that and they, kind of tied the plot to the moon landing. And then going to Chernobyl. Then they did, cool. They double dipped on that tactic, going to Chernobyl and which I'm still
not sure what that version of Shockwave was because it's nothing like the Shockwave in the comics and animated series. But okay, at least Megatron, the rest of them aren't too far off. But that's not Shockwave at all. I was like, at least call him something else. Don't call him Shockwave.
Yeah,
that's a small hardcore Transformer fan beef there. I'm like, could Shockwave been more like the Shockwave in the show? But okay.
But yeah, I think those are probably my two favorite things. I do like that they made Patrick Dempsey's character, just the opposite of what you think a human would do. It's like they're losing. The Decepticons are losing. And instead of saying, okay, I'm going to join the humans, he's like trying to help them still, even though, they're trying to destroy the world. It's like he doesn't even care about his own kind. And he's trying to help them get their little spires up so that they can move Cybertron back into Earth. And Sam has to knock him out and shit to get him to stop. And it's like they're trying to destroy the Earth and they're losing, and you're trying to help them. Trying to get them back into the playing field. It's like just say, hey, I had to do what I had to do, and help the humans.
And all because he thinks he's going to get richer or something or some sort. When you're already rich, or this car dealer, it's like the rich get richer, I guess,
exactly,
and they do bad stuff.
Yeah, it's like he's giving away $200,000 cars to the damn, hot ass Victoria's Secret girlfriend. And but yeah, I like how I like the comedic stuff that they have Shia LaBeouf do, the limited stuff, where he walks up and they're like, this is health and human services, and he's like packing M4s. He's like, I need to speak to Optimus. It's like, we don't know what you're talking about. And then he calls for B, and he's like, come on, man, can't come out and hang out every once in a while. But that was funny.
Shia, Shia's acting's not a problem. He was always good in roles. I mean, I've already go watch the Peanut Butter Falcon. He's fantastic in the movie. I heard he's a very, very, very capable, good actor.
Even in the small stuff, he did Disturbia. He did, of course, Holes. I think that's what made him very, very popular. His Holes. But of course, he was Lizzie McGuire. He was in Lizzie McGuire. Or no, was that Lizzie? Yeah, Lizzie McGuire. I think, or is it no Stevens? Even Stevens. I think he was the little brother from Ian Stevens. He was a Disney kid. But yeah, I know Peanut Butter Falcon. They said that was I think it came out in 2020, right? Or 2021. Yeah. And I remember a couple people mentioning that it was like their favorite movie that year. There's a few people that, friends of ours. I think Craig Price said that it was his favorite movie that year. And and I was like, wow, really? And it looks good. It looks inspirational and entertaining. I just haven't watched.
I believe it was on Netflix. It may still be there.
Check it out. Yep. That's about the mentally challenged kid that wants to be a wrestler, right? And they're like, "Yeah, come up with the name." And he's like, "Peanut Butter Falcon."
Yeah.
They're like, "All right, I guess that's what it's going to be, Peanut Butter Falcon."
No, it's definitely worth the watch. I think you and Jackie would enjoy it. But yeah, back to flip back around Transformers, this was his final turn as Spike, right? Yeah, because after this, they went to Age of Extinction, which was Mark Wahlberg, where they introduced dinosaurs, and The Last Night, and then Rise of the Beast and Bumblebee. But this one, man, despite the human story having its flaws and stuff in it, which all of them do, I still really enjoy this movie for a Transformers movie. It gets a lot of lore from the comics and stuff, and in the TV show, it gets a lot of things right. It has great robot action. Peter Cullen has some remarkable voice work to do in this as Optimus, and he's really good. He's always really good. We get the great Leonard Nimoy as Sentinel Prime. It's some great robot action, especially in the freeway chase at the end of the film. There's some good human action too. When Shockwave is attacking the building and they're all falling and the building's turning sideways, it's pretty thrilling, exciting stuff for big screen. And I think too that people get caught up in the Transformers movies and how they aren't serious enough or they're ridiculous. But isn't that what a movie like this should be? Maybe a little over the top and ridiculous. I mean, one thing you can say about most of the Transformers films is you're usually going to walk out and be entertained. I mean, that's fair to say, except maybe The Last Night. That one was kind of not very good.
Yeah.
But even The Age of Extinction with Mark Wahlberg, that one, it was still entertaining. And that's one thing Michael Bay does well. He entertains people. He makes an entertaining film. I don't think Michael Bay ever set out to make a film that was going to win awards, that was going to please everybody. He just wants you to go into the theater and be entertained for 2.5 hours. And Dark of the Moon definitely does that.
Yeah, no, and they do it by, like you said, pulling back the camera to where you can see more than just like pieces moving randomly, forming the Transformer. This everything flows a bit better. The action's shot good. You don't know whether the Autobots are going to win or not. At one point, like we mentioned before, Bumblebee looks like he's going to get killed. You have other Autobots that have just been annihilated. Right. Optimus loses a fucking arm.
I know.
And you're just like, man, what the hell's going to happen? The humans, are fighting amongst themselves over, whether Decepticons should, be helped or not. It's like, it's crazy. But there's a lot going on. But it's all entertaining and it's all, kind of makes sense, And
you got Oscar winning actors in this. You got John Malkovich. You got Frances McDormand. I mean, it's still, she's cool in it, but it's John Malkovich, and it's really weird. It's kind of like he takes you out of the movie a little bit. You're like, why is John Malkovich in a Transformers movie? It's a little strange.
Yeah.
But it's cool. I guess he did it because he wanted to do it. Who knows? Maybe he's a big fan of this franchise and he wanted to do it, And Frances McDormand, I mean, it's interesting her in a role like this, but hey, she did it. Props to her. It shows that like she's not only doing Oscar movies, she'll do something fun like this too. And I think that's cool that the franchise drew that. I mean, I would argue that, obviously the Transformers animated film is always going to be my favorite Transformers, but this is probably my third favorite live action film. I think the first one and then Bumblebee are probably my two favorites. and then this one. I mean, this is a good live action version. I kind of need to rewatch Rise of the Beast again and see where it sits. But I would argue Dark of the Moon is probably my third favorite in the live action franchise. Behind the first one and behind Bumblebee, but because it's a pretty solid Transformers film, it doesn't always get enough credit. For that, it made a shit ton of money. All the first 3 or 4
1.1 billion. 1.1 billion. It's
so,
the highest grossing Transformers film.
Okay. Wow. So it made a lot of money. And that's why they made another one with Mark Wahlberg. They made 2 more with Mark Wahlberg. So, but the Transformers franchise is one that I've enjoyed for the most part. I still hold out hope that one day we get a true Generation 1 Transformers movie. We got a taste of it with Bumblebee and Rise of the Beast, but I still want one that's, like the cartoon I grew up with. And, one day maybe. And it's exciting. We have a Transformers movie coming out next month. Transformers 1, the animated film. I'm excited for that. I know we were talking pre-show about what movies are left to go see. I forgot about that. I'm definitely going to go see that. Take the kids when it comes out next month. I mean, it's Transformers. I'm going to go see it.
A young Optimus, a young Megatron.
Yeah, it looks exciting. I'm excited to see that. Transformers is a good franchise, and and as long as they're making money, they'll keep making them. I'm sure it's somewhere Paramount's sitting, waiting to do another live action one. I know Rise of the Beast did not make a ton of money when it came out last year, but we're still in the pre-pandemic era. I'm sure they'll and now things are starting to recover. I'm sure they'll, or I said pre-pandemic, post-pandemic era. I'm sure I'm sure we have not seen the end of the live action Transformers films. That's for sure.
Oh, definitely not.
All right. Well, no sub feature today. That's why I did a pseudo top 3 Transformers movies there. But next week we will have something going on. I don't know if it'll be this week in pop culture or some sort of top 5. But next week is my birthday. So we are going to do every year on our birthday, we get to pick the film. So next week we are going to do my birthday pick for my birthday. And then next month it will be Matt's. I didn't know what to do because I've done a lot of my favorite movies, but I was inspired by watching Batman the Caped Crusader this week. So I was like, you know what? We're going to do a Batman film. And now we've done all the live action Batman films. We've ran out of those except for Batman vs. Superman. But that one we might be doing for our annual Christmas Batman movie. And I might have just blown that surprise, but no one's going to remember in December. So we're going to do one of the animated. There's lots of animated Batman films. And this is one that I really, really dig this adaptation of the comic book. And I like it because it's pretty faithful to the books, and it's a pretty well done adaptation. And I like Peter Weller doing the voice of Batman. I think it's different, but I think it's also really good. So we're going to go next week for my birthday pick, and we're going to discuss the animated version of Batman: The Dark Knight Returns.
Tonight marks the 10th anniversary of the last sighting of the Batman.
All units, robbery in progress. Gotham City Trust.
They call us a gang. Only when they die by our hands will they know Gotham City belongs to the mutants!
What the hell is that?
Batman! Come out here and face me like a man! What's your name?
Carrie Kelly. Robin.
She's smart. Brave. She's perfect.
These are scary times, Bruce. It's just random violence.
The war goes on. I will tear him limb from limb!
He's in his prime. He'll kill you.
I will show you who rules Gotham City! I'm not finished yet.
You just crippled that man!
He's young. He'll walk again.
This is a cool flick, man. I was really, when this came out, man, The Dark Knight Returns was one of those first grown-up comic books I remember reading. And it's written by the great Frank Miller and drawn by him. And it's not an easy book to adapt. But man, DC Animation did a really good job with it, splitting it into 2 parts and really adapting it really, really well. And they do a good job with this animated version. And it should be a good one to talk about next week on the show. I believe it's still streaming on HBO Max. If you want to watch along with us. If not, it's available out there on Blu-ray or whatever. But most of these movies are on HBO Max. So that's going to be next week for my birthday pick, because I celebrate another trip around the moon. And we're getting older and losing my hair, according to my son. So, but that's next week's show. But until then, the rebelradiopodcast.com for all your Rebel Radio needs. And we thank you as always for listening. This has been Mark.
This has been Matt.
And remember, as always, just go there and do it.